All right. Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Sorry, I'm having a little background noise by the neighboring community. So hopefully they should be done with their meeting with time. I'm sorry about the noise and everything. But please just kindly confirm that you can hear me very well.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Um, so sorry about yesterday's class. I think we're going to be picking up from where we stopped. So I'll be sharing my screen any moment from now. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen.
Not so legal.
All right. So today we are going to be talking about the different commands we are using in SQL. We're going to be talking about the different commands we use in SQL. And we'll start today by simply creating a table or creating a database. The first thing to start. So the first command we'll be talking about is create. Please, at any point, if you can't hear me, just kindly indicate so I can know. So we're going to be starting with the first command, which is creating a database. That's where we're going to go on our workbench.
Sorry, I can't hear you. We can.
Can you hear me? All right. So can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying that we're going to be talking about SQL commands today. And the first one we are going to be starting with is the create command, where we create a database. You can also create a table. So we're going to see how these commands actually function by making use of each and every one of them. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So I hope we all
Looks like Basi is having network issue at his end. So let's bear with him, please.
okay. So let's just kindly move on because I feel like the network is not smiling. So we're going to be starting with creating a database. That's the first thing we're going to do, or the first command we are going to use today. So I would like each and every one of us to like follow me as I go. So one thing I'll always advise each and every one of us to do when you are working, okay, with my SQL, even as an analyst, okay, you have to always take note of the code you write. Even if you are using Python, all right, you have to always take note of the code you write, what they mean, so that you can easily help you to remember them the next time you're trying to use it. So what you're seeing me do now is writing the meaning of the code I'm about to write. So the hash you are seeing there is not a command, it's just a note. So for it not to be read as a command, you attach a hash to it. Okay, so now enter. We're moving to the next one now. So we actually want to create a database, and the command is what? Create. So we said create database. Now, what do we want to name the database as? So we were talking about marketing before. So let's say we are naming it. Okay, let's use markets. So just like I was telling you in the first class, that coding in SQL is like writing simple English. So what you have seen here, you have successfully written the first code. You have successfully done what? Written the first code, which is create database. And that creating database, what do you call the database? Market. So it's a marketing database. And then when you are done writing that, you have to note that you put this semicolon, sorry, yes, this semicolon to close the code you have written before you move on to the next. So I hope you guys are following me. I'm trying to be as slow or gentle as possible so you can follow me. So you have here, create database, called what? Markets. Now you move to the next. You can run your code, or you can decide to run your code immediately to see if it's working or not. Okay, I think we should just run it. So I run this now. Okay, as you can see down here, I hope you can see my mouse. You can see down here, create database markets. You can see that's ticked already. So as I was telling you, down here where you have your outputs, which tells you, which verifies the code that you are writing. To tell you if the code you are writing is correct, is fine, okay, for you to proceed to the next one. So as you can see down here, the code is showing that yes, it is what? Correct, it is fine, it is verified, it is okay. So you can proceed. There's no issue with it. Okay, so now we are moving on to the next. You can decide to write it in clusters. Okay, write your codes back to back, follow it line by line. Or I like giving space in mind. Okay, because it makes my work more arranged, it makes my work organized, it makes it more presentable. So I don't like clustering my codes. I like giving space. So now we're moving to the next now. The next thing, after creating your database, you have to now command your database to be in function for you to make use of it to do whatever else you want. You don't just create the database and then expect everything to fall in place. So now that we've created the database, what is the next thing we do? We have to select that database and make use of it. So the next thing we're doing is what? To use market database. And just like I explained, I have to put a note to it. So the command here is what? Use. So I'll try my possible best to make sure that all the commands we're going to be using is in capital letters so that you can always get it and understand. All right. So, but in the second class that we had, I explained to you that SQL is not case sensitive. So you can use small letter for the command and it will still be functioning. It will still go. The command will still run. Okay. So whether you use capital letters or use small letters, it will still functioning very well. So, but for the purpose of this class, I'm using capital letters for the commands. So now we are going to be using the database market. So we have to now write it out. Okay. And then don't forget your semicolon to close your code. So once you close that now, you can decide to run it again. And as I explained to you in our previous classes, I told you that this is for you to run all your codes. You want to run everything. Let's say you want to run the whole code from create database to use market. This is where you click. And then you want to run just one particular thing. This is where you now click. So like this last code now that we've written, use market. You can now come here now to click on it to run just that code. And I was also saying that you can also use this to run one code alone also. Okay, by highlighting this, you highlight the code you want to run and you go to the run and you click on it, it will run it just that alone for you. So either you use this or you use this and it will still function the same way. But you have to just note the difference. We want to run every single thing, this is where you press. And you want to run just one line of code, this is where you press. But that doesn't mean that you cannot still run one line of code with this. Okay, I'm just giving you the differences. Not that I'm just giving you the differences, but I'm also giving you the trick of working fast. So you don't have to keep on following due process to get the same results you would have gotten a quicker way. So that's just what I'm trying to do right now. So as you can see now, we've highlighted this and we've run the code. And you can see down here, this market is verified. It's okay, your code is fine. You can proceed to the next one. Now, if you observe now, when I was talking about your schema, which is what is beside here, beside your query or your workbench. So you can see your schema now. Your schema is where all the database you've created, where they appear. And as you can see, we don't have the market database here. How it formed? So all you need to do is come to your refresh, which is beside here, and you refresh it. Once you refresh it, it comes in. As you can see, you have your market database created there. So it's already highlighted that this is what you are working with, what you are using. And you can now proceed. So that in case you are working and then you don't find it here, don't panic. You don't need to start running Delta Skelter and say, oh, all the work I've done is gone. Okay? All you just need to do is refresh it and it will appear for you to make use of it. So now we are moving to write the next one. So now that we've highlighted that we are using the market database, we want to create a table. Still using the command one, create. So create table. Now, create table. What is the name of the table you want to create? So create table here is what the command. Create database is the command. Use is what the command. So I hope you are noting the commands we are using in SQL. Right? So now you have create table. So you have to name the table. Let's say we name the table what? Model. And then we open the bracket. Why? Because we are creating a table. So the table has to have rows and columns because we're talking about structured data. We are trying to array data. We're trying to impute and manipulate data. We're trying to make sure that this, what we are creating, can be used in the future. Even if it's not us that we're using it, maybe somebody else or the organization that will make use of it can access it. So we are creating it and it has to be organized. So a table has your rows and your columns. So creating a table, you open your bracket because there are things you want to put inside that table. There are things you want to identify inside the table. So now, say create table model, and you open your bracket and move down. And let's say, let's create the columns that we want in the table. So we can start with order ID. Okay, so order ID is the name of one of the columns in model table that we are creating. So after identifying the name of the table, the next thing you're supposed to do is to specify the data type. So now ID there has to do with what? Numbers. So the other ID has to do with what? Numbers. So you have to identify it as what? Int, which is what? Integer. So you can write it fully or you can just go about writing it as int. Then you can remember in the previous classes where I was teaching you about data type. So you can write the data type and then you can also include the specific numbers of characters you want to see or you want to have in that particular column. But it's not very necessary that you put that. Not compulsory. It depends on what. So in this case, I'm not going to be attaching a specific number to it. So I'm not going to leave it open. So you can accept as many like sorry, yes, that particular in the particular rules of that column. Yes. So it can accept as or as much as possible, as many digits as possible. Okay. So if I want to limit it, that's when I can now add in bracket it, and you close it. So that means if I only impute 15 digits in the rows of order ID in that table, you've limited it now. But if you don't want to limit it, you want it to be unlimited, that as many numbers as many digits you want to impute can be imputed, then that's when you leave it open. And that's what I want to do now. So I don't want to limit it. So we're taking that out. Okay. Then I now said there was also an optional command that you can add. You can put it, you can involve it or not, which is what the not. Let me write it in capital. The not or. So in essence, what we are trying to say by writing the command not null is that we don't want to have any null value in this column. That's what we're trying to say. But not that it's really functional. But we are just saying what we want. I don't want to see any null value in this column that I'm creating. But that does not mean you cannot have null value. You can have it just maybe because of your imputation or whatever. Okay. So it's just an optional thing you might decide to add. So it's not compulsory you add it, but it's just optional to add it. Okay. So then we put a comma at the end. Why? Because we are not done, we're not closing the code that we are doing or we are writing currently. We're not closing it. So the command there shows that we have more columns to add to this table. So we are proceeding to move to the next column name, which will be, let's say, product ID. So the next column name is what? Product ID. So product ID is the next one. And then we identify it as what? Numbers, which is what? Integers. And then, comma. What else again can we add there? Amount. And to be what? In numbers, integers. Add the data type. You have to make sure that every column you create, you identify the data type that is supposed to be there. And then the next thing is, okay, the next thing is for you to identify the primary key. Next thing is for you to identify what? The primary key of this particular column. So moving on to the next, do what? Primary key. So in this case, the primary key is going to be what? The order ID. And then that being the order ID, we are now closing the code that we are writing. You remember you opened the bracket before, and now you're doing what? Closing it. And as you're closing it, don't forget that you're not just closing with just a bracket, but you are closing with a semicolon. That's to say you've come to the end of the code you are writing for this particular table. You are done with creating this table now. and you are ready to run it. So I hope we are all following. So now we move to the next. So after creating a table, you have to do what? Input values into those tables. That should be the next thing you should do. You don't just keep creating tables and then there's nothing inside the table. So the next thing you are going to do is to definitely input values into the tables that you created. Okay, so the next command we are going to be working with is called the insert into. So now that's the next command. Insert into what? You now have to now identify where do you want to insert what you want into. Which table you want to insert it into. Okay, which is now the model table. You now write it out. What exactly do you want to insert into it? You have to specify values. Okay, so you are inserting into the model table what? Value. So you see, every step or every code that you write in my SQL is basically simple English. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can see that every single code that you are writing in my SQL, every single code you are writing in my SQL is basically simple English. All right. So simple English, as simple as it is. Insert into values, create a table, create database, use this one. All right. Now, we're saying now, insert into the model table what? Values. Then we go to the next one. We now start imputing those values into the table accordingly. Now, the first one we have is order ID. So let's say the order ID is 1001. You put a comma. Now you're following the sequence. The next one is what? Product ID. So what is the product ID? Let's say 500. And then what is the amount? Let's say 2,000. Well, let's say 20,000. And then we close the bracket. And you put your comma. That's like what you've written now is your first row. So you've successfully filled your first row. Then you move to the next one. And let's say 1,002, 501. And then you have 10,000. So now that's the second row that you have successfully imputed your data into. So let's just say, for example, that this data that we are imputing into this database market, okay? Let's just say, for example, that you were given this data to actually impute these values into to create the database. So you were given the physical paper result of all this or report of this. So you are now pulling from something, a copy that has been given to you, or maybe a record that has been given to you to now make this database, big data utilized. Okay. So now we move to the next one, 03, then 300 or 500. And then we have 5,000. Okay. So let's just say that we stop here. Let's say we stop here for now. Let's say we stop here. Okay, let's add one more. Let's add one more. One more. We're gonna have okay. Now, let's say these are all the values we want to input into the model table, following the order ID, the product ID, the amount. And when you are done at this point, your last point, you don't put the comma. So note how these codes are written, because you might have errors if you mistakenly or forget to use the right punctuations or the right closure for a particular code that you are writing concerning a table or the values you are imputing. So apart from this method of imputing values, I'll also show you another method of imputing values when we are creating the next table. So now we are done with this. So let's just highlight this and verify that what we wrote is correct. Okay, so now you can see here that the create table model has been created successfully. So now the values we've imputed, the values has also been imputed correctly. So now, as you can see, it is not appearing here what we have just done. In your schema, you can see that it's not appearing. So all you just need to do is what? Refresh. And once you refresh, your table has been added. The new table you've created has been added. So you click on it now, tables, and you have what? Model. In model, you come here. Let's say you want to see your table, how it looks like. You now come to this little symbol that looks like calculator with a strike, and you click on it, tap on it. As you can see, your table has been created. You can see your result grid is already out. What you just did is already coming to life. It has been arranged exactly as how you imputed the data. So imagine you did impute the data in a way, in a format that is following the correct table or the correct column. Imagine how disorganized it would now be. So that's why you have to make sure that you can pay very close attention to what you are doing and make sure you impute the data where it's supposed to be, following the columns you want to impute that data into. So you don't make mistakes or you don't have to don't make mistakes or you don't have to start redoing your work or anything. So as you can see, what we have just done is the result of it now. Okay. So, all right. So going back to this, please just give me a few minutes. Okay. So, the next one now, we are creating a new table. We are creating a new table and we are calling the table the customer table. So don't forget your command, create table. Call it what? Customer. And then you open it to do what? To impute your data or the names of the column. So we have what? Order ID. To identify the data type that's supposed to be there. Put your comma. Go to the next one. What else do we want to have there? We want to have the name of the customers, right? And then under names, and I said the data type for alphabets or letters for what per char, or you can use what char. So you have to and per char, that's what we are going to be using. And then at this point, I want us to limit the numbers of letters we want. So let's say 55. So for the person's full names. So any person's full name that is more than 55 letters will not be, it will not enter there. It will rather stop halfway to cut it halfway. Okay. So it's only 55 letters of name that can be entered into that column. So our comma and next. So we'll be having, what else again should we look for? Let's say city. And cities will be in what? Letters, which is what? Bacha, and then let's say for the city 22. So I don't want to create a bulky table. I don't want to create a bulky table at all. I want it to be as simple as possible so it could all follow. So I think at this point we'll end this here and then we close this. After closing it, let's run this. So you can see at this point that the table has been created, customer table created, everything is fine, and we can proceed to the next one. So now we have to impute now values into the customer table. So we have insert into command, insert into what? Customer. So now this is the second way for, this is the second method we're using for the imputation. So now we are writing out the order, the columns that were created. So we have now order, that's order ID. We have names. And we have city. And we close the bracket and we say what? Value. So you can see, this is the second method of imputing values into the table that you've created. So let's just say you are someone that might not be able to follow the first part of it. Okay, you might feel confused at a point because of maybe how bulky the data might be for you to impute into the table or the database. So you want to just identify it so that you can always remember, okay, it is order table, names, city, order table, order ID, names, city, order ID, name, city, so that you can always remember. So you can use the second method to do the imputation. So now we move to writing or imputing the data. So the order ID, we have 1001. And then for the name, so just like I told you in the previous class, I think that was the first class, when you're writing letters, okay, you write it using parentheses. This is what I'm talking about. You have Mary, open and close. Then the city can say Lagos. And you close it. So we move to the next one. Okay, so moving on to the next one. So you can see we're following it row by row. That's how you're imputing your data, okay, into the database or the table we have created. So this is all going to what? The customer table. So now we move to the next one. Then let's say the last one. And then okay. So let's run this and see. Has been created successfully, but it's not appearing here. So what do we need to do? Simply refresh this and your customer table is appearing. And you click here to view it. You can see it's here. Well organized. So you can see that what you have done. So all your effort is already paying off. It is well arranged. Your order number, your order ID, the names, the city is following in accordance. So you can either use the first method of inserting values into your table, or you can use the second method. It will still produce the same result. So you have to know which of them is okay for you to use, or which one of them is easier for you to use. So you can always get your results clear. So at this point, I would I would have really liked to give a classwork for those following me to see and to also make sure that you are following. Okay. I would love to give a classwork to make sure you are following, but I don't think I will do that. I'll just give the classwork later on so we can work on it and then send in our feedbacks later on. So the next statement or the next command we'll be moving into is the select. Okay. Next one we'll be moving into is the select command. So we're moving to the select. So we're going to move into the select command. So select command or the select statement, okay, is actually used to select data from a database. So the result is actually stored in the result table. So this select statement you have here, use it to select a data from a database. From an existing database is what you're using the select command to do. So I hope that in simple terms, that is clear for each and every one of us. So you want to select something from a particular table or a particular database, That's what you do. So now, in this case now, for you to now use the select command, okay, let's say you have to first of all identify which database you want to use. So imagine you have multiple database apart from the market database you are creating currently. You have different database which you want to use. Okay, so I don't think you have let me see this real pass model. I think I should use this because you should have this real pass model. So now you have to first of all identify the database you want to actually use the select statement from, where you want to select an information from, select the data from. So now we're going to be using real pass model. So okay. Then we run our code. So it has showed yes, it's confirmed that it's fine. Then so in the real pass model now, the real pass model. So this is the real pass model. As you can see now, now that I've used the command use real pass model, it has highlighted real pass model for me, that this is the model, or this is the schema I'm actually using. This is the database I'm now working with. So it has left the market database. It has moved to what? The real pass model database that I am using. So I'm sure that you all have this real pass model in your system, because I sent this to you right from the first class. So you show that you have that. And then the command key that we've used to select that highlighted that, okay, this is what we are using now. So I want to see from this real pass model, let me see, what can I use? What can I select? What can I select from this real pass model? Okay, this was fine. Let's see, employee. Okay. Employee, employee number, first name. Okay, in simple terms, let's just use something very simple. Last name, first name. Let's use that. So let's go back to this now. So let's see. select, let's say select first name, select first name, last name, what else again? Okay, let's say email. Then from employee, let's run this. Oh, okay. So now I want you all to watch closely. Now I said select first name, last name, email from employee table. So as you can see here, this is your real pass model. And your real pass model, you have the tables you have in your real pass model is course line, courses, employee, office, other details, those are like the tables you have in your real pass model. So just like I was trying to say, the select statement is you're trying to select a particular data, you're trying to get a data from a particular database. So outside the database you've created, markets, you are now given an external data and you have an external database already that they want you to get a particular information from that database. So that's what you're now trying to do. So your boss comes to you and asks you, oh, please, can you get me the first names and last names, okay, the first names, last names, and email of the employees from the real pass company. Okay, so that's just a random thing coming in now. And you want to now get that data from there. You will not start going to search, but you just, where you are, you just want to get that. Or maybe in the due process of creating the database that you're creating, you want to maybe add it to you want to get the information and then add it to the particular table you are trying to create. Okay, so instead of going to create a new one, you want to just get the information and continue from where you stopped. So now you use the select key to get that data. So now, as you can see here, the mark here and our output is what? X. And what is the error? Unknown column first name in the field list. So you can see now that the first name, last name we used does not correspond with the first name and last name that is being used. You can see that the first name and last name, they are being joined together without the character that we used. And the name starts with what? A capital letter. So you see, you have to make sure that you write it according to how it was created. For it to what? For it to read that database. So you have to come back here now. First name. And then, so you are selecting first name, last name, and email from where? So from here is what? A command statement. So you have to identify, okay, the first name, the last name, the emails I want to get in the real pass model. Which table do I want to get it from? Do I want to get it from the course outline? Do I want to get it from the courses? Do I want to get it from the employee table? I want to get it from the office table. So you have to identify where you actually want to get that data from. So at this point, we want to get the data from what's the employee data, the employee table. So that's why we are now identifying it. So then we to run this code, and you can see you've been able to filter the data from the employee table. So out of all this information that is here, the employee number, the office code, reports to the job title. So your boss comes and asks you to just get him the first name and the last names of the employees and their emails. That's just all he needs. He doesn't need all this extension. He doesn't need every other information that is on this table. He just needs that. So that's how you simply get that specific data out of that database or that table for your boss to use. You can just get it, and then just like I showed you in the first class, that you can get that now and you can export it out. You can save it. Now, what you've got to now, this is it. So you can export it out, which is this your export button. You export it to an Excel file or CSV file, and you save it and you send it directly to your employer or the person in need of that. I think someone was raising his or her hand.
Yes. Good evening, sir. Well done.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, sorry.
Yes,
Please,
sorry. Please,
getting error from code. The error is showing me you have an error in. Can you hear me? What is it breaking? Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. What were you trying to say?
I said I'm getting an error code 1064. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that correspond.
Okay, so you have to just kindly confirm that your real pass model is active. That's the first thing. And then you also have to confirm that you've written the code that you're writing very well. Because sometimes those syntax come out when the code you're writing doesn't correspond with how it's supposed to be written. So just
exacting the customer ID, the values, the second insert to. That's where it started from. Don't know.
you sorry, I'm coming. You said it started from here.
Yeah, 26 years.
Okay, so from this insert into customers bar.
Yes, I tried to run that code. That's where the error started.
So, but you've looked carefully that you wrote exactly what I wrote.
Yes, sir.
You're sure all your punctuations are there. You've not missed anyone at any point.
Not at all.
Because if you miss any punctuation at any point, that's where your issue comes in. But your customer table created very well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So take out this last this semicolon at the end, and then run it again. Let's see. This still giving the same issue.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Okay. So I think what I would just advise you to do is so we won't have to like delay the whole class. Just just message me after the class, then we'll sort out the issue. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So back to where we were. You can see now, so this is how we actually get an information from another database or an existing database that we are not currently working on. So this is it. You are getting particular data from a particular database or from a table from another database, and you just get that specific information out for use. Okay. So that is it for the select key and from the select statement and also from the from statement. Yes. So I think the next one we should be looking at, should be the select distinct. Okay. So the next statement we're going to be looking at is the select distinct. Okay, so that's the next one we are going to be looking at now. So let's see. Let's say select thing. Let's say select distinct. Where do we have distinct values? We have distinct values. Okay, let's use this. Let's use this employee. So select distinct job title. Select distinct job title. Okay, so we have job title. Okay, hope I'm written it correctly. Yes. So job title from the employee table. So we run this code. Fine. So you can see. So now imagine you have a bulky table. All right. So let me just go to the employee table. You can see now. This is the table. You have so many sales rep. This is the job title. You have the president, you have the VP sales, you have the VP marketing, sales rep, manager, etc. But you now want to know in this table, what are the distinct values? What are the distinct, the distinct characters or distinct values in this particular column? Okay, we have so many. Let's just say we have so many presidents. We have so many VP sales, marketing. We have them a lot. Like it's a very bulky, big table, with so much data in it. And you want to know in specific terms, what exactly is the unique values inside of this table or this column that I'm looking at now. You just want to know the specific, despite the fact that there are multiple forms of them, and that is where your select these things come in. Okay, that's where your select is these things what come in. So the select distinct comes in when you have duplicate values. Okay, it's not that it's a problem, it's not a problem. You just want to list the only different distinct values that are there in a particular table. That's just all you want. So as you can see from that table now, we've been able to select the distinct values that are in that table. So despite the fact that we have multiple sales reps, we've been able to know that, okay, yes, sales rep is part of them. We have sales manager, and these are the different sales managers that are there. We have the VP marketing, sales, the president. These are the distinct values that are there in the job title that we find. Okay, the job title table that we have. Okay, so that is where your select distinct comes in. So just a possible work scenario, your boss comes and asks you, oh, in this table, I can see that we have over 1,000 rows. Okay, and we have so many sales reps. I've not been seeing sales reps. Is that the only job title that we have here? What other job titles do we have? Okay, so possibly let us say the sales rep is the most common value that he has seen. Sales rep, okay, maybe he has seen president one side, he has seen VP marketing, but he does not know that there are other values like VP sales, maybe because they are in minute number. Okay, the sales manager is part of it. Okay, but he just wants to know, okay, apart from the sales rep that I'm seeing everywhere, is it that everybody in this company has sales reps? Yeah, then I just want to know what other positions are there. Okay, so that is where you now use the select distinct to now select the distinct values in a particular column to just give out those different values, and you select them out to just produce that information. What you have now, these are the distinct values that are there, or the distinct position or different positions that are there in that particular company. Okay, so after that, let's move to another command on that statement. Let's go to the where. So the where clause. That's the next command we are going to be working with. Where. Okay. So let's say select. So just get yourself ready because you are going to use a lot of select. Select from here, select and from. Okay, Lawal, you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm listening.
Yeah. Before you use what was it called? Before you use that indent inline where you write where clause, I just want to chip in something, and so that we'll be familiar with it. After all our code, select distinct job title from employees. Why don't we master will use our semicolon so that it won't go to another line? Just
Okay. Is there another thing you want to ask?
No. There's no other thing. I'm just asking that is it compulsory to use it? Because I tried it using some times ago, but I didn't use this your where clause. I discovered that it's because you are using this indented line to write it. That is why it's not bringing it. Because if I don't put my semicolon, it will just give me a wrong answer or stuff. So that's why I'm asking.
Okay. So this is what I'm saying or what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
These are what I'm doing now. I'm writing random command. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I'm not following a particular coding. I'm just teaching
Okay, sir.
you the random commands or the random statements you can use while using SQL. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is what I'm teaching you now is data manipulation using
Okay, sir.
different SQL codes. So the first one where we started with creating a table, the commands we use in creating a table. That's
Okay, sir.
why when I end up writing that code for creating a table, I use the semicolon to end it, to close that code. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now,
Yeah.
we now move to insert into that table the values. We now end it
Okay.
also with the semicolon. Okay.
Column. Okay.
Then that was it for that one was following a sequence. Okay, we are creating a table for a particular database. We created a database and we are trying to fill up that database by putting data into it. That's why we're following that. So now what I'm teaching you now is data manipulation using different codes, which you have here. We have the select statement. Okay, so I'm not necessarily
Okay.
writing a particular code following a sequence that I need to close it or open it. So that's why
Okay.
so that's why I'm not using the semicolon to close, because I'm just writing random codes showing you how you can use it. So imagine you are now in a work scenario where you are being given a database. So you now know if they ask you, okay, please, Lawal, kindly give us the first name, the last name, and emails of the employees in the company. You will not go to follow a sequence to do that. You know that it's just a random thing, and you just have to know where to get that data from. You select it and where to get it from, and then you bring it out. You either export it, or if you need to show it to the employer there and then, you can do that. And then maybe go back to your real work you were actually doing and continue. So you don't need to follow the process of creating or closing it with the semicolon to get it right. Do you understand?
I understand. Thanks so much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. So the next statement we are working with now is the where statement or the where clause. So the where clause is actually used to filter records. Okay, so you actually use it to extract the records that fulfill a particular criteria or a particular criterion. Yes, criterion. Yes. So when you are trying to fulfill a particular criterion, so you possibly have you have a particular criterion where you want a data to come as. So that's where you now use the where clause. So you're trying to filter records. Okay, so this is not where you are now filtering records to be the distinct values that are there. Okay, that is just all random. Okay, you're now also trying to select something from a particular table. You want to filter a specific kind of information from what the records you have. Maybe just one particular thing. Okay, so that's where the where clause comes in. So now let's dive into it. We have, okay, let's go. We have select. So we are selecting from the asterisk I'm using here. Okay, let me continue and then I'll explain that for you. So select from still employee table. to employee table. Okay, where job title. Where job title or to sales rep. Okay, so now let me explain the code now I've just written. So you have select from. Now I'm using asterisk because I do not want to bring it down to the next line to actually write where I want to select it from. Okay, like you can see in the former ones when we're writing the code, we were defining what we were selecting. Select first name, last name, email. You define what you want to select. Then from a particular table. Now the next one we did was the distinct value. Let me even reduce this. Okay, let me reduce this. So next one we said select distinct values, job title from. Now I'm using this asterisk because I'm selecting from this particular table. Okay, so I don't want to just have only select on top here. I don't want to have only select on top here and waste the space. I write select on top, come and write from down. So I'm trying to link the select to from where I need to get the information from. I'm trying to select something from a particular table, trying to select a data from a particular table. So the asterisk there is to link the selection from where I want to get it from. So that's why you have the select command in alignment with the from command. Okay. And then we now use the where clause. The where clause is now giving us the inside the job title now. So instead of selecting the distinct values of the job title, I want to know in this job title, I just need to see the sales rep alone. I don't want to see the president. I don't want to see the VP sales. I don't want to see the VP marketing, the sales manager. I just need sales rep alone. So that's what I'm writing now. So I'm going to run this code now and see the result of it. You can see now. So giving you a typical work and simulation. Okay, giving you a typical work simulation now. An employer comes to you or your boss comes to you. I like using boss. So your boss comes to you and then asks you, oh, please, I want to know the the employees that are actually sales rep in this company. You won't bring out the whole employee table to present to the person asking you. Okay. All you have to do is you have to filter it. You have to filter that record, the employee's record or your employee's table. You have to filter it, or the employee's data set. You have to filter it. And the point of filtering, you have to filter it to the point where you have only sales rep, which is what your boss is asking you for. So he doesn't want to know the sales managers, the other people that are there, other job titles that are there. He just wants the information for all the employees that are sales rep. That is all he needs. So you see now that this where clause is helping you filter the records based on a particular criterion that you are being given. to follow. So now you can see now that all the information we have here, they are all what? Sales rep. Every employee that you're seeing here, they are all what? Sales rep. So you can see now that you've been able to manipulate your data or manipulate a table or get or extract a particular information, okay, based on the criterion that you've been given. So you've been able to do that successfully in the split of minutes or second. Okay. So I hope we understand, or maybe I should give another example so you could see. Let's see. I think I've used this employee for a while. Let's use another one. Select. Okay, select from. Let me see. Yeah, let me see these courses. Select from courses. I don't think I want to use these courses. I'm going to involve it. Let me see course outline. Course outline. Office. Okay, so let's use this office now. Okay, so select from office or offices where country, so where country is USA. The where country equal to USA. Yeah. Then we run it. Now, yes. So as you can see now, so this is another example I'm using for the where clause. So you want to know, okay, the offices we have different offices all around the world. We have US, we have Canada, we have Finland, etc., etc. And then you just need to know, get information from the offices that are only in the USA. How many offices do we have in the USA? Okay, we have different offices around the world, but I want to get information of the offices in the USA. So you can use the where clause to actually extract that information from the table of the offices that you have around the world. So you can see now all the information you've gotten now are just from the USA. So you can have all the information from the offices, which you can see City, San Francisco, New York. Okay, you have the address, you have the phone number, so you can easily access this information. You can easily bring it out and then give out reports immediately. So you see where the data manipulation for using SQL is functional. So I hope that is understood. So I think another thing I would like to show us is alias. Okay. So what alias actually mean? Let me check this out. Okay, so the command here is alias. What alias actually means is you renaming a particular column temporary. You want to rename a particular column temporary. Okay, that is when you use alias. Okay, so now we are renaming it. So we'll pick a column and then rename it temporary. Okay. So we are still starting with the select statement. So you see how much you use select statement in SQL. So you have select. Let me look for a table where we are going to rename. Let me see if I should go back to this order. Okay, we'll go back to this employee table. Go back to this employee table. So let's say we want to rename. Let's say we want to rename this first name. We don't want to write it the way it is. We want to write it in a different form. Okay, so let's have first one is employee number. Employee number. Sure. Always make sure that you always make sure that you always make sure that you write it accordingly to how the column was named. So we have employee number, we have last name, so we have first name, so now the first name is what we want to actually, the first name is what we want to actually change. Okay, we want to write it differently. So now we want to write it or rename it as first name. And then we have extension, email, extension, email, office code, report to. and then job title. Okay, so from employee table. Okay, so as I was saying that alias is you trying to rename a particular column temporarily in a different way. So the command for alias is what? As. Okay, so we want to rename first name as this. Okay, so we now have to outline all the columns of that we have to outline all the columns of the table. Okay, and then we have to also outline the table that we want to rename this particular column from. So let's run this code now. Reports to. So as you can see, I'm experiencing an error. You can see we don't have reports to, but we have reports. You see, that little s that we did not put has given us an error. So you have to make sure that you check your work and we run it. So you can see now, first name has been changed. So you have successfully changed the name of the column temporarily. You have successfully changed the name of the column temporarily. So this doesn't mean that it's going to be permanent, okay? But you can change it temporarily and still export it out and make use of it. But in this database that you've created already, what you've created remains the way it is. If you come back here to the real one, this is the real table and this is how it is. But just to rename it, maybe possibly, let's just say, for the sake of better understanding, okay, you needed to rename the names of the table. Maybe you were just the only person that understood how you name the table, but you want to now export the table out to other persons, and you'll find out that if I export this table out the way it is, they might not understand what is written, so I need to put it in a clearer form or rename the table in a clearer form. That's when you now use the alias statement or function to do that. So which is the as here that you have. So okay, Lawal, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, well done, sir. So
Thank you.
I'm trying to get to the screen. Okay. The aliasing that I understand here, you write select employee number, last name and first name. As is the aliasing, right?
Yes.
So the aliasing here, you now said as first name extension email. Is it the employee number, last name and first name you are aliasing? Or as we put we put aliasing as first name, you change the first name, then extension email, office code, reports to job title. So that as now is giving me another word entirely. Because what I think that you want to alias is just the employee number, last name, and first name, as you have put it there. But I'm still seeing extension email office code reports to job title. I don't know whether you understand what I meant.
Yes, definitely. I understand what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me
But this one is going too far, like
okay, so let me explain it better for you. Now, what I'm trying to alias here is just the first name, not extension, email, office. So if I want to alias the extension, I'll have to write another alias as for extension.
Okay.
So for that particular column, any column you want to alias, you have to write what you want to alias it as, what they're changing it from. What you're changing it from to what you want to change it to. Okay. So
Okay.
let's say you want to
Yes, sir.
alias extension now. You can use this the capital E, yeah, extension, or let's just say extent. So you see,
Okay.
then if you want to alias email, you will now write what you want to alias the email to, maybe from email to mail. So when you now finish now, you can now run. So while you are seeing me do write all that after that, you can see now that we've alias the extension, it has changed.
Okay.
So so why I'm writing the rest of the email office reports even after the alias is because you have to outline all the columns that are in that particular table. You have to outline them for it to work. You cannot just come in and write because you want to change only the first name. You just write first name alone and change it to what you want to change it to, and then for that particular table, it's not going to function. You will have an error. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
So I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yeah, you have been able.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So at this point, I guess I'll be entertaining any other question as we will be ending the class here and continue another time. So if you have any other question, just kindly ask, as I'm open to questions now. Okay, so I think in the absence of any question, I think this is where we'll be ending the class for today. And you will definitely get a communication or information concerning our next class. And I think that next class should also be the last class. So I will also be sending an assignment for you to work on before we come for the next class. So at this point, I'll say thank you very much for your attention. And I hope that you've been able to learn one or two things from my SQL actually. Yeah, so to all those that have been shouting, my SQL is my new favorite and all that, here you are, coding in simple English. So I hope you enjoyed the class, and I would like to say have a lovely weekend. Is there someone's hand raised up? Okay. So I would like to say have a lovely weekend or have a lovely week ahead of you. Thank you very much for today, and thank you for your listening.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome,
All
sir.
right.
Really appreciate you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dominic. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
everyone for joining in today. I hope we've been able to pick one or two from today's class. I do more of working with Microsoft SQL Server, so I was just looking at what it was doing using the MySQL. So we'll meet again next week. The time would be communicated to us. It should be same time, and would we told the day would join for another class to wrap up the SQL class. I'm still looking at it if we should have a class for looking at maybe a 2 days for my SQL. Not my SQL, I mean Microsoft SQL Server. But let's look at how it goes. If we just do my SQL, or would look at my Microsoft SQL Server as well. All right. So thank you so much for joining in tonight. We'll meet again in our next class. Bye, everybody. Bye. Good night.
Thank you,
Night.
ma'am.
Good night. Good night. Thank you very much.